I'm Dave Koehler. I'm the senator from Peoria. And joining me today is Senator Johnson, Senator Belt, Senator Fine. And then I'll introduce our guest. This is a tough issue that we're presenting this morning. When I first had a conversation with Kurt Richardson just a few weeks ago, I was just flabbergasted. Good thing I was driving because I would have fallen over. So I'm going to let him tell his story, but this is about what happens when doctors go astray. I'll just leave it at that. And let me introduce to you Kurt Richardson. He's from Bloomington. I first met him when he was still in Peoria. And his mom and dad are here joining him. But Kurt, please tell your story.
Thank you. I want to thank Senator Koehler for sponsoring this legislation and for the co-sponsors, for the other senators as well. This is an important issue that I thought needed to be addressed in Illinois. It's already been adopted in 8 other states as well, unfortunately as a result of similar issues. So this is the Illinois Fertility Fraud Act. And unfortunately, last June, 2021, my parents and I, on the same day, found out as a result of an at-home DNA kit test that we were victims of fertility fraud. Fertility fraud, basically, for those who don't know, is where a doctor or anybody else involved in assisted reproductive treatment substitutes their own genetic material for that of the intended donor, or in my case, my father. So last June was the first time in my life, and it's affected us a lot, that my father, my mother, and I all learned the same day that we were victims of this horrible act. This bill's important. I think even though our situation occurred in a neighboring state, it's important in Illinois because it's occurred all over the United States, unfortunately. There's been multiple doctors who have decided to take things into their own hands without their patient's consent, without the mother's consent, without the father's consent, unbeknownst to anybody. And the toll this takes on families, on the children, on the patients, on the mothers, on the fathers. It's a loss. It truly is a loss, and it shouldn't continue. And there should be laws against this. So unfortunately, nobody ever thinks about this and something this atrocious happening. And so the laws that are currently on the books don't necessarily address this head on. So that's why this legislation is important. I want to thank the senators again so much for taking up this bill and for promoting it, because I don't want to see this happen again to anybody else in Illinois.
So what Kurt found out since then is that he has 85 half-siblings. It's pretty hard to get your mind around that. So what this law does, and I'll mention too that what the doctor who did this in Indiana, he received, he lost his license, received a $500 fine, and I think he was found guilty for lying to the authorities.
Attorney General.
Yeah, so slap on the wrist. What this act does, it's Senate Bill 4199, is that it makes this a criminal offense. That if you do this knowingly, I mean, we're not talking about a mistake. We're talking about knowingly doing this. It's a Class 1 felony, the first incident, and then after that it's a Class X felony. It also provides that a woman who gives birth to a child conceived via the fertility fraud, the spouse of the woman, or a child born as a result of fertility are eligible to receive compensatory damages and punitive damages, or liquidated damages of $50,000 if they bring forth and prevail in legal action. This is something that, unfortunately, as Kurt has mentioned, has happened in too many states across the country. Other states have worked to make sure that their laws are tough as a response to this crime, and in Illinois, we are working to do that as well.